Good morning. This is the public hearing, public meeting of the Landmarks Preservation Commission of June 24th, 2014. Chair Tierney.
Here.
Commissioner Bland. Commissioner Chapin.
Here.
Commissioner Devonshire.
Here.
Commissioner Goldblum.
Here.
Commissioner Moore. Commissioner Perlmutter. Commissioner Washington.
Okay, Commissioners, we're going to start with item number 1, application for a certificate of appropriateness in the Borough of Brooklyn, docket number 15-0245, block 1215, lot 19, 1372 Dean Street in the Crown Heights North Historic District, a Romanesque revival style semi-attached house designed by Allen and Kenway and built circa 1888. This is an application to construct rooftop and rear yard additions. This was read into the record on April 1st and is being presented for the first time today.
Good morning, Commissioners. Edith Bellinghausen, Preservation staff. The building is located on the south side of Dean Street between Brooklyn and Kingston Avenues. It is a semi-attached house. However, you'll note that it is not a twin of its neighbor. The proposal today is for the installation of a stair bulkhead and roof deck, as well as a one-story rear yard addition, a cellar entrance at the east elevation, which is an alley along the side of the house. And also, due to building code, there's a requirement of the installation of a fire escape as well. Here you see the building. Below, at the bottom, is the existing elevations, above are proposed. Just speaking a bit about the existing conditions. At the roof, these are the existing conditions at the roof. You'll note the mock-up that was constructed. There is some minor visibility of the stair bulkhead west along Dean Street over the adjacent building. There's also a railing, which is a component of the addition, which has also, again, visibility over the top of the front facade, and again through the side elevation through the alley. At the rear of the building, currently, note that the walls have a cementitious coating back at the rear of the building and also at the side of the building. There is an existing one-story L. The proposed addition will project no further into the yard than the existing L. It will be one story, as described earlier. There is an existing projecting bay, and the addition will rise to the first story, and again, not to project further than the L. Finished in a stucco finish to match the surrounding wall. Lastly, this is a rendering of the proposal. You'll note here also the installation of the fire escape, which is also shown. Some details of the connection to the roof shown in profile here. I'll hand over to the architect to further elaborate on the project.
Okay, and the hearing will be open for that purpose. Motion second without objection. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Richard Goodstein, Principal of NC2 Architecture in Brooklyn. Just wanted to talk a little bit about the project as a whole first. This is currently the house was converted to a multi-dwelling quite a while ago. It is currently 5-family. We are essentially gutting the interior, turning it into 4-family, which will be comprised of, from the top to the bottom, 1 floor-through apartment, second floor is a floor-through apartment, and the first floor and cellar levels are split into 2 duplex units. One of the main goals of the project was to provide outdoor space for all of the inhabitants of the building. In order to do so, we've added the roof deck at the top. We've added a deck for the second floor apartment on top of the extension, a small deck for the rear duplex on the first floor and cellar, which leads out by a stair to the backyard. The front duplex was a little bit difficult with the outdoor space, but there is the alleyway where they are going to use the backyard share with the other lower duplex. I wanted to talk about the 3 major elements of our design, just give a little bit more background as to why they look the way they do. Starting at the top again, the roof deck. There are, let me put the plan in here. There are essentially three major components of the roof deck. There's the roof deck surface with its railing. There's a stair bulkhead coming up toward the center of the building against the party wall. And then lined up against the party wall is our mechanical equipment. They're the outdoor units for the split AC systems, and various vents and fans and other mechanical outlets. We've gone through quite a number of iterations of the bulkhead, and in its final form, we've reduced it down considerably in working with the staff to basically its minimum dimension. And it is shaped like a traditional roof bulkhead on an old townhouse. And it will be clad in with a standing seam metal cladding. The deck itself has been sized. It was actually very difficult because the Department of Buildings requires fire department access, both from front to back and from side to side. And with the mechanical equipment that we have and with the bulkhead, we basically had to move the front of the deck almost to the existing turret in order to accommodate that side-to-side access for the fire department.
If you were to move the fence back behind where the gates are, could maybe just walk across the roof without going through?
Sure. We felt that kind of, it's a big chunk off of the roof deck.
Okay,
So it's a very large increment to do that.
Right.
The deck will have steel railings. The edge of the deck will be a steel channel. It will be suspended slightly off of the roof so that it appears to kind of be floating on top of the roof. Moving down, Department of Buildings, we're in the Department of Buildings process, well into it. And they have requested that a fire escape be added to this building as a second means of egress. We have gone through many sketches of iterations to find the optimal location and configuration of the fire escape. And basically what we found is there are just not a lot of options. So essentially the fire escape needs to go with a ladder to the roof. It's located, the existing mansard roof in the rear has two dormers. It's located at one of those dormers, goes to a platform which is on top of the existing bay. Then you go across the platform, there's a stair on the side of the building, 60 degrees as required by code, and another platform that takes you to the rear deck, rear roof deck on the new extension, and then there's a drop ladder from there.
Could this be done in the back, along the back, go down to the terrace and then down to the terrace?
The difficulty that we had was, first of all, the three-dimensional bay and sort of getting around that. And then on this side, which is where we ideally would have put it, that's where we have the door out to the roof deck. So it was kind of
Why
difficult.
couldn't you just move the door to the deck? I mean, obviously change the configuration of the
door.
internal
Well, that has to do
layout.
with the interior layout, of course.
Right, but one way you could have the fire escape be in the rear, because it's not that it's going to be used, it will come up with a drop ladder.
It does need to be it needs to be a 60-degree stair.
Not a stair that can drop down to 60 degrees.
No,
It has to be
it
a
has to be a
fixed stair.
fixed stair.
And other question, you need a second means of egress because you don't have scissor stair situation in the house. Why couldn't you have done something, since gutting it? Why can you put second unit in the house?
Basically, the footprint of the building is such that it would have eaten up an enormous amount of the floor plate.
Yes, is there the same?
Yeah, no, it's more because you have to have a complete run each direction.
Okay.
So, moving down to the rear extension. Rear extension, as Edith said, is going to be stucco to match the rear of the building. It is designed, the rear of the building, the way it exists, is a hodgepodge. The existing extension was obviously added later. They added an areaway, light well type of access to the cellar down below next to the existing addition. We're proposing to sort of clean up the rear and just make it more symmetric, geometric, and yeah, basically the masonry we're trying to keep in character with the rest of the building. In addition to that, the steel elements we want to express in a sort of modern style, as well as the small balcony that is cantilevered off of the back of the extension.
Okay, further questions? Anyone? Is there testimony? No testimony on this? So, okay, thank you very much. No community board. Right?
I think it's generally a respectful and reasonable proposal. I think that efforts have been made to minimize visibility of the additions. I think that the rear yard, because it doesn't stick out any further than the existing one and just goes all the way across, is appropriate. I do think, though, that the material of the stucco is okay to me, but I think it should be over a masonry sub-base, not over studs, just so that it lasts a decent amount of time and it's not an EFIS type product. I think that the fire escape is a bit unfortunate on the side because it will be visible from the street. And if they could work with staff to try to move it to the back, I think that would be great. And I wouldn't object. We do all the time to have a door placed into a bay window. And since the room in which it falls is a living room and is open all the way across, I don't think that would be a terrible disturbance. But I don't think that its placement now is drastically inappropriate either. I think that the minimal visibility of the rooftop accretions, railings, etc., are acceptable on this kind of house. I can support it.
I agree with those statements. I think one of the things I could try and do is come up with a paint color for the railing to make it disappear a little bit.
Wow. I'm everything is okay on the roof usually, but I think this is a little too much on the roof, too much visibility. I would say working with staff, but still working hard with staff to decrease the visibility up on the roof. I don't think there's a mock-up, I mean a photo that shows what we're going to see on the roof from the street. I see. So it's a little hard to judge in a way. Oh, that's it right there. Very minimal. Okay.
Sort of see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, essentially you see a little bit of railing from the alley.
That here.
Otherwise you don't see anything. You see a little bit from the rear of the building.
I got it. Okay, I see. Yeah. Okay. I still think that working with staff, though, they should work to decrease the visibility on the roof. Maybe it's the design of the rail. Maybe it's this floating idea. Maybe it shouldn't float if that makes it higher. So those are some of the elements I think you can work with staff on.
Yeah, I agree with Fred's comments that there's a lot of conflict between the roof line because of that very unusual roof line and the railing. That's really the reason. And so either using some kind of a mesh material that goes away, one of those great fabric meshes or whatever they're, wire meshes. And then fire escape, actually, you know, I've seen this kind of, this rooming house look, which is, I think, what it's bringing back. Usually you see that and you sigh and you say, they're taking off the fire escape. So I'm kind of concerned about introducing the rooming house look, and I'm wondering whether the fire escape could be moved to the rear in conjunction with a rearrangement on the interior. I think that would be an improvement over a scissor stair. Study the scissor stair more, which would really be a better solution.
I concur with the comments of other commissioners about the fire escape, and the visibility of the railing does bother me, and I think we should do what we can to reduce the visibility. But I do think that could be done with the staff. I think that in general, the additions are fine, and I don't have no problem. I think they're well done and well considered as far as the rooftop and the rear addition. I think it's fine. So hopefully those two matters can be worked on with the staff.
Okay.
I agree that those two areas need to be looked at. I'm not sure that if it's really some staff.
Yeah.
I'm not sure either.
We both think that. But I just think that the top railing and what's happening on the top of the building needs to be pushed back or less visible. And I heard why they're saying that they can't do it or don't want to do it. But I just think in lieu of doing that, they need to somehow reduce the visibility or not have that visibility. And I also feel that the fire escape is a lot.
Yeah.
But maybe those are things that can be studied.
Rooming house,
But
retro.
they need to be revised.
Okay, agreed. And Michael Goldblum, please, we'll close this hearing. Motion, second.
Do that approval with the staff recommendations that you
Right, okay.
earlier suggested.
Okay. Regarding 1372 Dean Street in the Crown Heights North Historic District, the application is to construct rooftop and rear yard additions. I recommend approval with modifications, finding that the proposed work will not eliminate or damage any significant or architectural or historic features of the building. The rear facade is not visible from any public thoroughfare, that the rear yard addition will be only minimally visible through a side alley, that the rear yard addition will not rise to the full height of the building and will not project beyond an existing L, thereby maintaining a sense of the building's original volume and scale, that other rear yard incursions of this scale exist on other buildings in the block. Therefore, the proposed addition will not overwhelm the adjacent buildings or diminish the central green space, that the rear yard addition will be clad in stucco over masonry to attach the existing condition of the rear facade and east elevations and help the addition blend with the rear facade. That the fire escape is simply designed and configured to be minimally intrusive, that the fire escape will be only minimally visible through a side alley, that the stair bulkhead will be set back from Dean Street facade and not be visible in conjunction with the primary facade, the rooftop addition will only be minimally visible from oblique vantage points to the west on Dean Street and through a side alley, that the proposed below-grade cellar entrance door, stair, and railing at the alley will be minimally visible from the street. The simple design of the cellar entrance and railing will not call undue attention to this installation. The 5-foot excavation to create cellar entrance and stairs will be done in compliance with DOB regulations under the supervision of a licensed professional engineer to protect the building's facades and adjacent buildings and will not extend below the existing foundation. However, I recommend that the applicant work with staff to make the following adjustments. Number 1, to modify the railing material to make it more transparent. Number 2, to explore the possibility of relocating the fire escape to the rear facade, which would incorporate the possibility of having a door to be put into the bay window. Number 3, to possibly consider moving back the amount of visibility to reduce, moving back the railing of the rooftop to further reduce its visibility.
Second.
Say anything?
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Approved. Thank you.